All right, Monday Fun Day. Welcome into Madness, the month of March here on SportsGrid. It is in-game live, and we are prime time here on this now 18th day of March. Just a couple of days away from true madness taking center stage. And, of course, all week long here on SportsGrid, we will have you covered wall-to-wall March Madness action, bracket central, alive and well. But we got a whole bunch of other things going on here tonight, including, let us not forget about the NBA, the National Basketball Association. They are underway with a couple of games, and we've got you covered all night long here. Cleveland Indian in action right now, as is a Jimmy Butler-less Miami Heat team taking on Philadelphia, and Boston's taking on a G League team. And here to help you break it down tonight, we have nobody better than one Dave Sharapan in the house. Taylor Mathis ready to roll here tonight, and we'll get to all of the madness now that we've had a time to consume it for about 24 hours and take a look at the brackets and try to get everything, pointed out in the direction that we want to be. That's a sweet graphic, but if you're going to ask me to read that, that is not going to happen here. But we do have 3 NBA games right off the bat here. Just 2 in the NHL, Dave, because that sport continues to miss the boat. You would think tonight, when there's no college basketball, they would have put 23 games or something on. But no. Instead, they opted for Buffalo, Seattle, and Calgary taking on Washington. What is wrong with the NHL and the schedulers? Like, seriously.
They had a big weekend, Joe. That, like everybody else, they had a big weekend. They took advantage of less games on Saturday. They got a big day tomorrow. You can't have a big night every night, Joe. The players have to get rest. They have to be good to go. They're ramping up for the playoffs. It's a good night to just relax, enjoy the hockey a little bit. I'm enjoying that graphic. That bracket, there's something about the bracket that just doesn't.
Much.
Every time this time of year comes in March, people come up to the counter at the books and they go, "Hey, do you guys have brackets?" No, we have lines. No, we have totals. We have sides. We have first halves. No, we don't have brackets. The brackets are a good reference point, though, Joe. I mean, you got to have.
You like the brackets.
I don't know who's playing who. You got to know.
Yes. Well, you can't fill them out with NHL teams because apparently we never know when they're playing. Taylor Mathis, welcome in. Happy Monday. Monday Fun Day, T. Always a good time here. Bet you didn't think he'd be wearing a Yankee hat here and gear tonight. But we got a lot going on in the NBA anyway. So kick us off here. Only, 2 games? Cleveland Indian, Miami Philly, and let's forget about Boston because they're eventually going to win by 100. But what were you looking at here tonight on the slate there, Taylor?
I didn't take anything in the early games. I have a play, though, for the game that's about to start. That Bulls game, center Nikola Vucevic, over 11.5 points. Vooch has only hit this over 50% of the time through his last 10 games. And earlier this season against Portland, Vooch had just 7 boards. So you're probably thinking, why am I taking the over here? And it's because of what I'm seeing with the books. Vooch to record a double-double is highly juiced, minus 340. If Vooch is going to smack a double-double tonight, it's going to be through the points and the rebounds. The points total right now is sitting at 21.5, which is 12 points higher than what he would be required to get for a double-double. The boards is at 11.5, which is just 2 over of what he would need for a double-double. So that's why I'm taking this play on Vooch over 11.5 boards tonight. I hope that made sense. But if you're a prop bettor, I feel like this is a good way to look at some of those individual lines if you kind of look at the triple-double or the double-double marks for players.
Ooh, I like that here, too. Actually, the late slate of games is better. Yeah, now that I'm looking at your plays there and I'm looking at this slate of games, the late games offer a little bit more interest than having to decipher what Detroit is going to do here. But Chicago, Portland, like you said, getting ready to tip off. Minnesota, Utah, Memphis, Sacramento, and then, of course, the Kings and Golden State. And, Dave, why? Why with the I mean, I get the Dodgers are playing in a couple of days, but, I don't know why you repping the Yankee gear here. Yankee fans are in mourning, right?
Yeah, they're struggling right now.
Yeah.
Why? Why would they be struggling? Why? What do you mean?
It's a struggle, dude. It's a struggle. I mean, come
It
on.
is. They're the favorites to win the division still, despite the fact
no, they're not.
they're not.
I don't think they really
telling you
should be
they
the
are.
favorites to still win the division.
No.
But
Nobody believes that. Nobody believes that at all. Not even delusional Yankee fans are buying anymore. They're going to win the division here.
Really? This is news to me out in the desert. Sometimes we're the first to know out here in the desert. Sometimes we're the last to know. But, yeah, I mean, I figured hopefully if I wore the baseball stuff, we could direct some of the conversation to baseball today because, I see you at the spring training games down in Arizona. Joe, I know that you're a Yankee fan by birth and, you still believe
not
that
delusional.
the Yankees – but you're real. You're always real. Like we got Zinno on later. He's not real, although Zinno is very real about the Yankees.
No, he's a glass half empty guy. No, he's brutal. He's even worse. Yeah,
he is. He's an angry Yankee fan. Nobody likes angry Yankee fan. Nobody.
No. But you do have a point here. We have Dodger, Padre. I'm really not even sure what this is. It an exhibition, or are they actually counting these games coming up this week? Does that actually count towards the regular season?
For me and Taylor, Joe, it's very, very in the middle of the night. It's hard to watch them.
Yeah.
T, will you watch any of these games? Seriously, will you? I know you love the baseball. Will you watch them?
Probably not. Probably not because of the times. I've also been to so many games so far already. So I'm like, I've gotten a really good feed of baseball before the season starts right now. And I'm like, I know everybody's all about March Madness, college basketball, all of that going on. But I'm like, for me, my brain goes NFL and then it goes to NBA, then it goes to baseball. And baseball's about to start. So my brain's been on baseball for a while.
Well, doesn't help that you have the reigning National League champs in your backyard by any stretch. So you've got a lot to be excited about. And having said that, I do think there are some fantastic, future opportunities in Major League Baseball we can get into coming up because I don't often invest a lot in baseball futures this time of year, but there were two on the board that kind of stuck out to me, which I thought were, hey, you know what? Put it in there, forget about it, and then I'll come back in August. We'll collect those tickets and then put them right into the football tournaments. So, because you know what's going to happen with that, because both of these are going to cash by August anyway. So we'll share those with you here. We do have an update, by the way. You're not going to believe this here. Apparently, nobody told Detroit. They're actually Detroit tonight. We'll have an update on the Celtics. Detroit, we've got the Cavs and the Pacers going toe-to-toe. And also, the Heat getting smoked by the Sixers here. I think there's a couple of hockey games, although you'd never know it because they basically took the entire night off. But we'll have that for you when in-game live prime time continues here on the Grid.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the movie that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like this is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But
Right.
if we make them a third,
They get in.
third,
This is
they're
the Penn
always
State
going to be
rule.
better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too, because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
I bought into Tennessee with their veteran team. I really did. But that's, out the window. That ship has sailed today.
A team that wins no games in their conference tournament has never gone on to win the national championship. So you can put Tennessee in that boat. You can put Duke in that boat from last night. You can put Creighton in that boat from last night. They all lost their first conference tournament game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca.
I would be willing to bet the under 2.5 goals.
Fantasy sports today.
Especially in head-to-head formats in fantasy, I think I'm going to go with Juan Soto.
Game time decisions.
People don't like it. I don't really care. I cannot believe anybody is betting the Clippers at this number.
Betting above the
All
rim.
I've heard you say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live all access.
Nobody has been more profitable as a dog than Shaka Smart Team.
Winning back-to-back road games. I don't care if they're playing Topeka High. I wouldn't give them any chance whatsoever.
In-game live. Prime time.
Back-to-back, just utterly stinker quarters.
In-game live. Overtime.
Honestly, as you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. It is madness. That's right. It's March, and we have got you covered here in-game live. We are primetime here on the SportsGrid Network. Joe Raineri alongside Dave Sharapan, Taylor Mathis in the house. Got quite the game in the NBA right now, too. Knotted up 54 apiece between the Pacers and the Cavs. The Celtics finally realized they were playing Detroit, thank goodness. 42-33 now. They are out in front there. It was a tie game not too long ago. The Heat down 31-23, and the Bulls and Blazers off and running here 2-2. They just started their game in Chicago. All right, we've got obviously March Madness bracket time coming here. And when you look at, and we were on air last night, Dave, when it came to announcing the number one seeds. And look at that graphic. Really high-end quality stuff, Dave. What do you think? Is that a nice? I love that graphic. But we did have, oh, yeah, absolutely. We could just watch that all night. We did get 4 number one seeds. There was only the question, I think, was whether or not, because UNC lost to North Carolina State, was whether or not they would still hold on to it because a lot of people had them penciled in, or would it go back to Tennessee or something even crazier like, oh, yeah, Iowa State. No offense, Tara, but we all know you don't like Iowa State. Anyway, you're an Iowa girl. No. That's what I was going to say. I knew you were going to shed a tear over the fact, but I do think no, you can't. No, as an Iowa girl, no, absolutely not. I'd be shocked if you did. But you've got to go with these brackets, Dave. And UConn, obviously, in the East, we knew that was coming. I love North Carolina. I got a ticket on them in just about everything here. But my goodness, I don't think they did them any favors by sending them out west, because that's not exactly the easiest of paths there to get to the Elite Eight. At some point, they're going to have to get through Arizona, I would imagine. But they really did Purdue well here. I mean, you look at Purdue in that side of the bracket in the Midwest, and you tell me, Dave, I mean, tell me we're not getting Purdue's path isn't pretty light to get on there. I think they have the best draw of all those number ones.
I don't know. I mean, I don't even know are they going to be favored against Tennessee? I mean, if they get to the 1 and 2, yeah, it's not going to be much. I don't know.
No,
no, it won't. It's going to be close. I don't think they did UConn any favors. If UConn was the number 1
No.
seed, I think they gave them the best number 2 seed in the whole tournament, right? I mean, the 2s are Arizona, which I think if you put them against Iowa State, they're a dog. It's close.
Yep.
Tennessee's a dog to Iowa State right now. And Marquette, I don't know. Marquette is that X factor. I'm just not sure as far as the 2 seeds go. But the East, you think the East is tough? I think North Carolina got a nice road. I mean, they get to play in Charlotte the first 2 games. And I don't think they have much of a threat in their 8-9 game. So it could be worse. I mean, the
I
West,
don't like Arizona. I don't like Arizona.
I don't either. That's what I mean. Like, I don't think that's hard. I don't think that's tough.
I don't like them because I like North Carolina, and I know that Arizona is loaded with the most talent of any team on here. And if they actually put it together and don't throw up all over themselves, they're going to be a problem. That's the problem with Arizona.
I like Arizona, I think, in my Final Four. I haven't officially done my bracket yet, but I'm looking,
That's the
and
scary.
I like Arizona to go to the Final Four.
Yeah.
When you look at that West, though, like you got Alabama as the 4 seed. You got Baylor as the 3. I think Baylor is the one that's going to be tough where they're at. They could take out Arizona in an ugly basketball game. If they make that ugly, that 2-3 Baylor can go and mess up all the plans for Arizona to get to Glendale. I mean, the road to the Final Four, it ends in Glendale. And, we'll be down there. The plan is I'm going. So I'll be down there to see you.
You know you're going. You know you're going there.
Yeah.
You got to be kidding. But, I mean, they did help Arizona.
I'm just laughing a little bit that it's like the road ends in Glendale. And I guess, like, living out here, I'm just, like, giggling because I'm like, Glendale's just so not, like, even a big city, I guess. Like, you would think that maybe this would be ending in Phoenix. Like, it's just kind of funny. It's like the road ends for the championship in Glendale, Arizona.
Indy?
Take the 202
Was it Indy
out
too?
there, you take the 202 around, or you take the 101, and then you're like, wait, we're here? The Final Four is going to be right
you're like,
here?
this is it? There it is.
It's not much. It's not much.
No. Well, you got to keep into consideration, too, though, the location of certainly some of these earlier games, because you are going to have East Coast teams playing on West Coast time. You are going to have certain fan bases that are going to be very well positioned to travel to root them teams, their teams on there. I think Arizona certainly has gotten a pretty good draw there. I mean, you tell me, what is Arizona, the college team now, because nobody cares. I don't even think, do they have a football team? I don't know. It's a conversation for another day. I'm just curious. Is it popular in there? I mean, in you being in Arizona here, do they have a fan base that would travel, in your opinion?
Oh, definitely. Well,
Big
U
time.
of A is in Tucson. So that's about a 2-hour drive from the Valley where I live. The Valley is considered Phoenix, Scottsdale, Glendale, a bunch of other little cities surrounding. We have ASU here, but nobody really cares about ASU. So everybody's looking at Arizona right now in the tournament, but people are really excited about GCU right now to Grand Canyon University out here. That was like the big talk this past weekend, really, was GCU men's basketball. More so than Arizona, probably because we all are expecting Arizona to be in the tournament and hopefully make a little bit of a run to the national championship. But GCU, a little bit different. So it's exciting that they're going to be in as well.
The Lopes, Joe.
Yes.
It's all about the Antelopes. We got caught up in it last year. They invited me and Peralt to the game this year, to the championship game. Grand Canyon did. We went last year and we tweeted about it. The band, they flew anyone that wanted to come that went to Grand Canyon. They flew to Vegas for the championship game in New Orleans. So it was electric, and we're all in. So I haven't been to a game down there, T, but you're right. That's a nice – I mean, that's going to be a 12 seed that I think we can really appreciate. But they got St. Mary's in the first game. They didn't do either one of them any justice. 5-point spread. St. Mary's is a quality basketball team. It's not going to be easy for the Antelopes. But listen, if Arizona gets to the Final Four in Glendale, They are coming. They will be there. It's a 2-hour drive from Tucson. It will be packed. It will be a home court environment. That West bracket is going to be just all about
brutal
Arizona and the Wildcats. But I'm with you, Joe. I'm not sold.
Yeah. I'm not sold. Listen, I do think there's one team that proved itself to be just heads and tails over everyone else. You got to have UConn in some way, shape, or form on at least a bracket or two. The number is already past the point of betting. You should have bet it before the season started to repeat. But I mean, plus 370. What are we going to do with that? I mean, you can see the Final Four odds there. I know a lot of people looking to fade Houston. They're not sold on them, but they are in the right. They certainly will have an edge in the region there, which is interesting. And Purdue. To me, Purdue is dangerous if they don't shoot themselves in the foot in the first or second round. That's it. If they get past that point, then we can have a conversation about Purdue. But I have my issues with that team. I will say this, though. I think the public is going to love themselves some dogs. And I'd be very cautious about that. We'll talk about a few of those when InGame Live Primetime continues. Coming up here on the Grid.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the movie that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like this is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in. This is
they're
the Penn
always
State
going to
rule.
be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
I bought into Tennessee with their veteran team. I really did. But that's, out the window. That ship has sailed today.
A team that wins no games in their conference tournament has never gone on to win the national championship. So you can put Tennessee in that boat. You can put Duke in that boat from last night. You can put Creighton in that boat from last night. They all lost their first conference tournament game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca.
I would be willing to bet the under 2.5 goals.
Fantasy sports today.
Especially in head-to-head formats in fantasy, I think I'm going to go with Juan Soto.
Game time decisions.
People don't like it. I don't really care. I cannot believe anybody is betting the Clippers at this number.
Betting above the rim.
All I've heard you say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
InGame Live All Access.
Nobody has been more profitable as a dog than Shaka Smart Team.
Winning back-to-back road games. I don't care if they're playing Topeka High. I wouldn't give them any chance whatsoever.
InGame Live, PrimeTime.
Back-to-back, just utterly stinker quarters.
InGame Live, overtime.
Honestly, as you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
right, welcome back in-game live, and we are PrimeTime here on the SportsGrid Network. Thanks so much for hanging out with us here as we try to navigate through the madness, and that is exactly what we're getting ready for this week. Still at the break, 54 apiece here, getting ready for the third with the Pacers and the Cavs. Pistons down 13 here, 57-44, about a minute left before the break in that one. The Heat have erased a double-digit deficit to now lead the Sixers by 2, 38-36. And the Blazers and Bulls, 17-16. The Blazers on top of that. We'll keep you posted here as we get along. And we should mention, of course, I believe Capitals, Flames, Sabres, and Kraken coming up a little bit later. Just 2 games in the NHL because they have no idea how to schedule. So I had said that my worry is that the public is going to love themselves some dogs and recency bias here, Dave. Now, you tell me at the book here. When they were making these yesterday and they were coming out, I said to myself, okay, Sampson going to be all sorts of loved. McNeese State, all sorts of loved. There were going to be all of these New Mexico. Everybody's going to love them. It feels like there is going to be, because last year there was, shall we say, a few upsets early on that nobody saw coming. I mean, what was FAU last year? An 11 seed, I think, when it was San Diego State. Where San Diego State wasn't big. So I think that kind of narrative, plus the fact of all of these, oh my goodness, Kansas can't play basketball, and McNeese State, they're the greatest thing in the world. I would be very cautious penciling in the popular dogs with the public here. It a lot of time, most of the years, Dave, it doesn't happen like what we got last year.
Well, it happens, but it happens once or twice.
Right.
Like St. Peter's beats Kentucky, and then they get to the Sweet 16, and then it ends. Like you usually, if you get one in the first round, they have a chance to win in the second round. And then you get 3 days of traveling back home, and, they get NIL deals, and a lot of things happen. I'll never forget when the St. Peter's kids started doing Subway commercials in between playing the second, the Sweet 16 game. They were done. So, but don't forget, last year, UConn was a 4 seed. FAU, I believe, was a 9. Like, this was the Final Four. San Diego State, I think, was a 6. So
it was out of control.
It was, I mean, it's
really
one of those things that you don't see every year. But I think we always have to caution and keep in mind, we used to say this all the time in the book, there's only 2 teams in these matchups.
Right.
So there's a public side, because we're in a vacuum and we're doing the content. We'll hear about public sides and pro sides and all that other nonsense. I can't keep track. I always call them rhombuses and parallelograms so nobody gets upset. And then, I really didn't like geometry. Squares and sharps is old, and nobody else is saying rhombuses and parallelograms. They fight and they argue over this stuff. It's like, just enjoy the games. And the numbers, this is one of the easiest weeks to book from the book standpoint. We put up the numbers and everybody has an opinion. It's great.
Forget it. I just caution people here, Taylor, that the idea that Kansas can't win a game against Sampson because they got to cut, it's like, experience does kind of matter here. These are a lot of teams. I'll give you the whole thing. Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you're gonna money line roll it over, right, with some of these teams here, and you're looking for a couple of dogs, I'd be cautious of the James Madisons of the world. And while they had a tremendous season, they have never been to this point before. So I do think experience matters. I think coaching matters. I think that perception, Taylor, early on is going to play a big role with some people, where if you just saw Auburn play and run the table on the SEC, well, Auburn's going to be in the Final Four, right? I mean, it's got to be Auburn with the way they looked. I mean, they ran like, just, this slow down here. But I mean, you haven't filled out your bracket yet.
Well, I'm like,
are we going to
Joe,
get?
You mentioned New Mexico as a dog not to take, and I was like, that was a dog I thought for sure I was going to take in the first round. And now I'm like, should I be steering clear of that? Is that too risky with the fact they just went on this deep run? They win the Mountain West. There's 6 teams from the Mountain West that got bids to the tournament. Are they being overhyped? Should I not take them in the first round?
They have, I mean, Dave, historically, correct me if I'm wrong here. I mean, New Mexico has been a mess. They've never been good when they get into the tournament. And the problem, and listen, they've got tremendous guards, right? They've got a bunch of upperclassmen. But I think Clemson is a team also, I think, has the 10th most experience in the country. Going across the country here, they've done well on neutral site games. I don't think they beat Clemson. I would take the ACC over the Mountain West any day of the week. Any day of the week.
You're not alone. Matt and I had on a kid named Eli Hershkovitz he writes articles for the Lines. He's a great college basketball resource.
Yep.
The last 33, 61-1 is the Mountain West record.
Not good.
Wow.
The last almost 100 games. 33, 61-1. And I was like, ouch. Like, but it's always because they're underseeded, but they're always playing a better team. They never go into the game as favorites, which is unique in the New Mexico game because they're the lower seed in the game, and they're actually 2.5-point favorites. So New Mexico T might be one that you can advance one game, but Joe, pedigree, conference, all that stuff comes into the handicapping, and then the games start. And it's beautiful because these neutral sites, you never really know what you're going to get. And the funnest bet is funnest the word. The most fun bet that people do in this March Madness is like the race to 15. They'll look at the thing and they'll go, give me South Dakota State to get 15 points before Iowa State at a gigantic plus number. People come to Vegas for this thing, and everything goes out the window. Everybody gets loose. T, you know who one of the biggest fan bases is that comes out here that goes like this? Wisconsin. These Wisconsin Badger fans.
I'm not surprised by that. Midwest people, we show up for everything. That's all they have out there in Wisconsin, pretty much, is football. The football, baseball, basketball, it's the sports. That's all they've got going on.
Yep. And taking in mind also, Taylor, because it's funny you mentioned that here. In years past, there was always people laughed at some of the other, because this is not the only tournament going on. For those that don't realize, there's a bunch of other tournaments that are going to be taking place starting tomorrow. And for the first time that I can remember ever, I looked at this lineup, including your Iowa team, at the NIT. Do you see the teams in this NIT? Whoa, when I tell you, it's going to be possibly better than anything we might get on Thursday, or some of the games at least on Thursday and Friday. I can't wait to see your Iowa team at the NIT. I really can't.
Well, I got to ask you guys a question. What do you think about some of these teams that are opting out? They got invited to the NIT, because make AA tournament. So they're declining to play NIT tournament, though. I'm curious to see what people think about this, because on one hand, I understand they're trying to work the transfer portal, be prepared for next year. But at the same time, this is some of the last opportunities some of these athletes have to play their sport. And the fact they're not going to play it in the tournament is sad to me.
Yeah. Well, it's not that was always the angle, Taylor, because in years past, right, Dave, we would always get a couple of teams that we knew didn't want to be there. They could care less if they were under. So that was kind of the handicap of the NIT. Like, all right, so who got snubbed and who the hell doesn't want to be here and is going to roll the ball out there and be like, let's get out of here. You bring up a great point, Taylor, because there is no St. John's. There is no Oklahoma. And the reason there are none of those teams is They declined. They gave them the option, and they're like, we're good. So that means everybody here, Dave, wants to be here and has some sort of axe to grind, which is why I think this tournament is probably going to be the best one that we've had in years.
I think so. I mean, we went to the final. The NIT semifinals and finals were in Las Vegas last year. They're not coming back. They're going to Indianapolis. They're finishing in the Hinkle Fieldhouse. But there's great matchups. They took the time to ask the teams, confirm that they want to be there. Are you going? You know, you have to pay. You have to guarantee that you're going to sell out or at least bring people in. Kansas State, Iowa is a good matchup. That's a good geographical matchup.
Huge.
That's a good basketball game. The spread's 6. Providence and BC is another good basketball game. Opener of 3. So you know, there's good ones throughout. There's
UCF,
like mismatches.
South Florida, the Battle of Florida here. The other Florida teams here. I mean, and that's here. You have teams like Cornell in here, Princeton, teams that are going to have an axe to grind and want to prove that it wasn't a fluke. It's going to be a lot of fun. Don't sleep on the NIT. We'll have more on it coming up next here on the Grid.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the movie that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like this is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But if we make them a third,
they get in. This is
they're
the Penn
always
State
going to
rule.
be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
I bought into Tennessee with their veteran team. I really did. But that's, out the window. That ship has sailed today.
A team that wins no games in their conference tournament has never gone on to win the national championship. So you can put Tennessee in that boat. You can put Duke in that boat from last night. You can put Creighton in that boat from last night. They all lost their first conference tournament game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca.
I would be willing to bet the under 2.5 goals.
Fantasy sports today.
Especially in head-to-head formats in fantasy, I think I'm going to go with Juan Soto.
Game time decisions.
People don't like it. I don't really care. I cannot believe anybody is betting the Clippers at this number.
Betting above the
All
rim.
I've heard you say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
InGame Live All Access.
Nobody has been more profitable as a dog than Shaka Smart Team.
Winning back-to-back road games. I don't care if they're playing Topeka High. I wouldn't give them any chance whatsoever.
InGame Live. PrimeTime.
Back-to-back, just utterly stinker quarters.
InGame Live. Overtime.
Honestly, as you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. It is InGame Live, and we are prime time here on the SportsGrid Network as the madness is almost upon us. Couple of play-in games coming up your way here in another day or so as, some teams have the right to go in and get absolutely bounced out because some of those games, hey, Wagner versus Howard, congratulations. Good luck. I'm not quite sure winning that game does you anything except for the right to get absolutely smoked over there with your next game against UConn here. But a couple of Mountain West teams, a Pac-12 team, which is interesting because, Dave, I thought Boise State was one of the better teams out there. I think Utah State ended up winning ultimately the regular season there. And it looks like, Boise State's on the outside looking in, and now they got to take on Colorado, who a lot of people thought, even though they lost to Oregon, they probably should have been considered, at least, I don't know, over somebody like Izzo and Michigan State, who, again, we knew it was coming, but you know how many people are going to bet him, too, now that he's here? Because of his record in March, it's going to be disgusting. But does Boise State advance?
It's not exciting.
I don't think so.
I don't know. There's too many question marks with that. The Pac-12, watched too many of the games here. I didn't see much. I really didn't see much where I'm going, okay, conference-wise, are we doing this? Like, are we going? You put two of the teams on the Mountain West in a playing game, right? And two teams with the Pac-12 got to go like different routes. I don't know. Right. I really don't know. I don't know what to make of Washington State in their spot. They're playing Drake, and Colorado is playing who? They're playing Boise.
They got to play to play. Yeah, they got to play. I think the Pac-12 shows up in this tournament.
Do you really?
Over the Mountain West. Listen, I am fading every Mountain West team there is in the first 2 days. I don't care what they are. I'm fading Boise. I'm going Pac-12 because I think Colorado's a better shooting team. I'm fading San Diego State. I just don't believe that brand. And I'll tell you why I don't believe it, Dave, because I don't think there was that much separating the Utah State, who didn't have one out-of-conference game against anybody that was top 200 in the country. I mean, come on. These teams were all separated by nothing, and they're going to be separated by better teams.
Hold on. Are you taking Virginia? You want Virginia?
I am taking Virginia.
And Colorado State? Really?
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Tell me who Colorado State has played this year that comes even remotely close to what they are going to see from Virginia this year. Again, I'll take the ACC over the Mountain West, even as bad as we think Virginia is. And by the way, it's 117. Have we ever had a tournament game at 117 points?
Yeah, 120 is the current number right now. And if we were doing the game, InGame Live, there'll probably be a point where we'll see 1-0 something. 1-0 something in a game. And we'll probably all be wishing we were watching
1-0?
1-0 something. 1-0. 1-0.
Oh, please.
1-0 something. Yeah. There'll be a 1-0 something in there. It's exciting.
No, there's not.
That's why we need more of this. That's why we need more expansion. That's why these people keep talking about Taylor. You're like
no, Taylor. Don't feed it, Taylor.
Do we need more college basketball? When we get to this point, don't we need more baseball? We don't need to expand.
Not more college basketball. I can barely keep track. I can't keep track of all of it.
Wait. We're trying to cut baseball games. You're adding more baseball games?
Add more teams, less games.
Ooh.
That's what I think for baseball.
More teams, less games.
get rid of a little bit of the schedule. The beginning of the schedule is so boring. It's so pointless. They don't matter for
Thank
much.
you. I agree.
They don't. We're having the same problem in every league pretty much besides the NFL. You have the same problem in the NBA. They're too long of seasons. Yes, I'm like, slash that, but I think it'd be fun if Nashville got a baseball team. I know they're up there. Obviously, Vegas is now going to be getting a baseball team. I'm not sure what the other hot cities are that are up for getting a baseball team, but I'm here for more baseball.
Is that really a baseball team, though, Taylor? Is that? I mean, like they have the name, but I'm not quite sure. The Athletics constitute a baseball team here just yet. I would just say not yet. I'd slow the roll on the baseball in Oakland. Dave, you don't even have a site yet, from what I understand. Like, they have this thing, but nobody knows who's going to build it or how they're going to put it up because it's in the middle of nowhere.
It's like the Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. That's what they keep saying. They're going to blow up the Tropicana.
Yeah.
Where all the locals are taking they're paying their last respects to this place.
Brutal.
Tropicana is coming down. We haven't had a place demolished in a while. They still have like the original carpet from like years ago. The Trop is
the original stains.
Yeah. It's not.
I don't want to know what's in that carpet.
Me neither.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. You guys have seen it. But they're going to build a ballpark down there. But T, I'm with you. Like, if we have less games, we don't have nights like tonight where we rely on you to come up with prop bets on like the NBA games. Because I'm looking at the rest of the night before you get out of here. New York and Golden State, at least I got the New York stuff on, trying to make a case for the Knicks. They're having a decent road trip. It got to be.
You're wearing a Yankee hat. How in the hell are you making a case for the Knicks? What are you talking about? You're wearing a. I can't. Oh, my goodness.
It's all the same, Joe. New York, Knicks, Yankees. It's all the same.
It's all not the same. Because the Yankees have how many championships, Taylor? Baseball is how many? It's 20. I'm just saying, it's not all teams in New York aren't created equally here. But I do think the Knicks have a chance to spoil a few dreams here this year. No Anunoby tonight, I believe. He is out again. And that ran up to 6.5, I believe, right? So, listen, I mean, is he the end-all, be-all? Can they not win a game without him in the lineup here, Taylor? I mean, come on.
I am still, while I took the 5.5 points with the Knicks originally before Anunoby was ruled out, now he is, number moved up to 6.5. I still think I am going to take those points with the Knicks tonight. I believe that they can keep it close against Golden State. Golden State, when they're a home favorite this season, I believe they're 10-18 against the spread. So not a great number. And Jalen Brunson, he can still rule this Knicks team offensively, but also defensively. The physicality and athleticism that exists on this New York team is just leaps and bounds higher than what we're seeing out of Golden State right now, who's in a position to be in the play-in, to even make the playoffs in the West. I'm going to take the points tonight with the Knicks and think they keep on this little hot roll that they have going on.
Oh, one for the, by the way, it looks like everyone, I know there was some concerns earlier, but Anunoby, and that's it. And Golden State has pretty much everyone ready to go. But Golden State 10-17 at home as a favorite this year. This is not like your dad's Golden State Warriors here. This is a totally different team at home. And I don't know the physicality, even without Anunoby. I think you're spot on there, Taylor. Going to make it very, very difficult. And by the way, the Knicks right now are holding on to a 4th seed, I think, which would, keep them at least in a home series, right? And they got to keep winning games. So I don't think there's any scheduled losses here, Dave, with the Knicks that are going to take a night off with 14 games left?
Correct. Yeah, I don't think so either. I'm so glad that you threw it back to me, because I swore I saw on the bottom of Taylor's best bets list there was a Laker emblem, but it flashed by so quick that I hope it's not the Lakers. You got to give some people a reason to watch this travesty of a basketball game. Atlanta beat the Clippers yesterday by like 20-something. And now they're catching a huge number tonight against the Lakers, who I'm having fun betting against every single night. Look, the computer don't even believe the line. T, what's your prop bet for the Laker game tonight?
Give me Lakers, D'Angelo Russell over 5.5 assists tonight against the Atlanta Hawks. Russell's averaging 6 assists on the season, over 6 assists on the season. Right now, LeBron James is a game time decision to play. If he doesn't play, Russell usually averages around 11 dimes a game without LeBron James in the lineup. Russell, he's honestly been such a great playmaker for this team. There were so many rumors surrounding him around the trade deadline that he was possibly going to leave the Lakers. He's really stepped it up for them so far within this new year. When he's not scoring, he's becoming that playmaker, getting it out to other guys on this team. And Vegas has not caught up with this line. It's always sitting at 5.5 consistently. He's almost averaging 6.5 boards right now a game. This has been one of my most profitable props that I've had all season. So Russell over on his assist number tonight.
Oh, it's a big, if it ain't broke, we ain't fixing it here tonight there with Russ. I do not blame you in the least bit. I mean, the money certainly came in on the Lakers today. I'm seeing tens even starting to pop up here now. So congratulations, Laker backers there. And it's interesting. The Laker number is going up, but the total's going down. So maybe a little less scoring from Atlanta on the second of a back-to-back. I don't have a problem with that. And we also are getting ready. Minnesota, Utah coming up tonight. Do you see how much money came in on Utah here tonight? Have you? This was an 8.5 line. It's now 4.5 here. And I think that has to do with Gobert out. Karl Anthony Towns obviously out. Jalen Clark out. Kyle Anderson out. Kyle Anderson and Monte Morris now in for Minnesota. So does that justify a 4-point swing, Dave?
No, they never does. It never does. Why would LeBron not play tonight? He just scored 40 in the last game against Golden State.
Because he's LeBron, Dave. He can do what he wants.
But this is one of the hardest things about betting this stuff pregame. Like, why wouldn't Minnesota's playing for the top seed? Like, you're in Utah. It's that nice mountain air. We got to win this game. Can you go? I mean, you don't have to play the whole game.
I'll tell you why.
Obviously, they're not playing.
Next up on the list for Minnesota, next game, Denver. That's why. So this might be a little bit of a take for granted spot and keep their focus on Denver there. So we'll update you on what's going on with the games currently, and we'll have a couple of best bets with Taylor on the way out here as we look to close out this first hour. In-game live primetime here on the Grid.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the movie that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like this is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to find a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But
Great.
if we make them a third,
They get in.
Third,
This is
they're
the Penn
always
State
going to be
rule.
better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too, because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
I bought into Tennessee with their veteran team. I really did. But that's, out the window. That ship has sailed today.
A team that wins no games in their conference tournament has never gone on to win the national championship. So you can put Tennessee in that boat. You can put Duke in that boat from last night. You can put Creighton in that boat from last night. They all lost their first conference tournament game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca.
I would be willing to bet the under 2.5 goals.
Fantasy sports today.
Especially in head-to-head formats in fantasy, I think I'm going to go with Juan Soto.
Game time decisions.
People don't like it. I don't really care. I cannot believe anybody is betting the Clippers at this number.
Betting above the
All
rim.
I've heard you say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live all access.
Nobody has been more profitable as a dog than Shaka Smart Team.
Winning back-to-back road games. I don't care if they're playing Topeka High. I wouldn't give them any chance whatsoever.
In-game live. Prime time.
Back-to-back, just utterly stinker quarters.
In-game live. Overtime.
Honestly, as you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in as we look to close out this first hour of In-Game Live Prime Time here on the SportsGrid Network. We got a hockey game underway. Flames, Capitals, nothing there. Getting ready for this Minnesota Timberwolves Utah Jazz game coming up in just a couple of minutes here in the association. And Taylor, all right, on the way out here. You gave us some props here. Now go ahead, hammer home one more best bet for us on the way out the door.
All right. Since we were just talking about that Timberwolves game, I'm going to go with Anthony Edwards over 2.5 made threes tonight. The Jazz do not defend the three ball well. And Edwards just played the Jazz on Saturday, and he had a whopping 5 threes against them in 31 points. That's the 26th time this season where he scored at least 30 points. He passed Kevin Love's record of 30-point games within a single season. He's just a special player, and I think tonight he's going to be only one of the big scorers that's out there for the Timberwolves. Give me Anthony Edwards over 2.5 made threes tonight.
T, I got one question for you.
Love it.
Out. Can I ask one question? Thank you for not bringing up the fact that the Steelers acquired Justin Fields. But if you had to, seriously, think about it for 1 second. Justin Fields is going to look good in a Steeler uniform. I mean, the Bears uniforms are nice, but you know about that black and gold. Because
so I know about the black and gold. Iowa. Of course I know about the black and yellow, Dave.
That's what I'm saying.
Of course.
That's what I'm saying. It's a good thing, right?
If I were you as a Steelers fan, I would be pretty happy with what's going on with that quarterback situation there. I think it's a smart play to have Russell Wilson. Justin Fields learns from him a little bit. He's clearly, it looks like, going to be with Pittsburgh for a long time. Maybe you get a new and improved and even better Justin Fields. So I like it if I were a Steelers fan.
Yep. And by the way, he'll be starting the first game. Mark my words. And then we'll all get the laugh, Taylor. Yeah, when Caleb Williams ends up crying his way out of a job after the first 2 games. Taylor, be good. Enjoy the rest of your night. Cash those tickets. Another hour in-game live coming your way next year on the grid.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this.
All right, welcome back in-game live, and we are prime time here on the SportsGrid Network, off and running another hour. Joe Raineri alongside Dave Sharapan, and we've got madness on our minds here as the brackets are out. The bets are coming in, and without a doubt, Dave, it is the single most bet-on event of the entire sports calendar here, Super Bowl aside. The amount of money and handle that comes in on this tournament, Dave, is pretty seismic, to say the least.
It's 3 days of Super Bowl handle. It's awesome. And there's a great graphic there with all the championship winners' numbers. Does the Final Four necessarily all come from the left side right there? Look at those numbers, all on the left side, or we could get some right side, strong side on that graphic, because the Final Four odds for the 1, 1, and 2 right there is not. I mean, people like to take shots, Joe. We need 2 zeros on the ends of the numbers. 1 0 is not enough. A lot of people come to Vegas and want more value and more excitement and look to get that 6-game parlay. But you got to figure out that parlay price, Joe. Sometimes that's not enough. Whatever they're giving you is not enough. Like, we'll talk about the Connecticut thing with the rollover, right? We got to do the rollover price because Connecticut at plus what? Plus 370? Plus $4? You're too late to the party. You can't bet them even if you think they're going to win.
Yes. Well, it's interesting, too, because there's a lot of different ways to approach this, right? You can go, in addition to national champion or who you think is going to win it all, right? You've got the region winners. You've got who's going to make it to the Elite Eight, who's going to make it to the Final Four, even Sweet 16. You can go ahead and bet. So there's a lot of different ways to back a team in multiple different bets and have it work out pretty well for you if you're right. But the region winner, I think, Dave, is fantastic because Houston is the favorite to win, obviously, the South, right? It's not huge money. UConn is about even money to win the East. We know that. Midwest, Purdue is about plus 175, 180, somewhere in that ballpark. Where it gets interesting is out West because your number 1 seed isn't the favorite. The number 1 seed is almost 4-1, and yet Arizona is plus 250 to win that. So the market is already fading North Carolina and propping up Arizona in that West bracket. So that was when the numbers came out. That was the first thing that stuck out to me was, wait a minute. So we got all the number 1 seeds are all the favorites to win their own region, right? Except for the other number 1 seed who's in the West. So that there was the one thing that stuck right out to me was that North Carolina is sitting behind Arizona when it comes to winning that West region.
Why is that? What?
I have no idea.
Did anyone see? Like, that was magic what NC State did in the ACC championship. It was magic. That was one of those things. It's a 1-game instance, but I didn't like what I saw from Arizona the last 2 weeks. I don't understand. I don't care where they're playing the game. Okay?
Yep.
Charlotte, and then we go out to LA. Like, LA is going to be full of people rooting for North Carolina, and they don't rebound. They don't play defense. All this stuff about, this building's going to be like this is going to be like that. I think we overestimate that with the handicap. I know the guys in Vegas, doesn't really matter. It just put up the number. I don't know if they play head-to-head. Arizona's, you're going to tell me what, Arizona's -2 against North Carolina?
Pretty much. Might even be more there. I mean, I couldn't believe it either. It's the one thing this morning that kind of, because I'm all over North Carolina, but I've been in for about a month now with them. And to see them get the 1 seed and then to not be the favorite to win that region is mind-blowing, which means there is just, and I'm not saying it's not a talent issue with Arizona. It never is. They've got more talent than anybody in this country. It's a matter of being able to win the games you're supposed to win. I'd be more afraid of Arizona if they were a 4th or 5th favorite. The fact that you've got them as the favorite, as a 2 seed, that tells me everything you need to know about Arizona. That you cannot lose the games they lost, Dave, and expect them to be a favorite to win the region in March Madness. You just can't.
I agree.
No,
I don't know if we're in the same circles because you talk to Peralt on the weekends. I talk to him all week, and we keep talking about all the same stuff. We have a lot of the same guests on the shows. I don't know.
Nope.
I don't see it. I really don't see it.
Nope.
I think the Pac-12 is going to have a very interesting tournament. I mean, at the last year of the Pac-12, and you ended up with Oregon in the final, and I don't know what else we make of that. I mean, the final standings right there: Arizona, Washington State, Colorado, Oregon. A lot of mediocre. That's a lot of mediocre. That's just might be time to play them in the NIT. Did any of them say yes to the NIT?
I'm just saying there is Arizona, by the way, 14-1 to win it all, which is laughable that you got them winning the region and you've got them at such a big price there. Purdue, Houston, and UConn are your obvious other number ones that the market seems to think they have a pretty good chance at winning it all. But if you go down the list, Dave, we're starting to look at some of the bigger numbers. I don't trust Iowa State. I don't think Iowa State's got enough offense to run the tables, especially out of the side they had.
Don't they, Joe?
They
Iowa State play the best defense, and the defense travels, right?
Yes, they do.
They're playing in Omaha the first 2 games, right? And I think that's going to be fun. Then they go to Boston if they win. I think they could beat in the Sweet 16, Elite 8, kind of not easily, but I really like what I saw from Iowa State. Again, I'm a Big 12 mark. I fall for the
Then
Big
how
12.
are you not betting Virginia? I mean, you should be betting Virginia over Colorado State because nobody plays better defense than they do. But at some point, you got to make shots. And I don't know.
Virginia can't score.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then, right? But, I mean, the problem is they win not because they score. They win because they don't allow you to score.
Right.
And then they make it a one-possession game at the end. That's Virginia basketball here. Going to be an interesting game, Dave.
Right. When you see this, okay, I don't know if it's justified. I would make the game a pick. Just say, all right, let the money move us. I don't have a strong see those 2 emblems. Great job with the graphic. It looks awesome. I don't feel strong other than to fade Virginia. I think I'm looking under.
Team total. We'll give them to you when we get back here. In-game live prime time.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the Purdue that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like this is the guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to
Penn
find
State's
a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But
Right.
if we make them a third,
They get in.
Third,
This is
they're
the Penn
always
State
going to be
rule.
better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
I bought into Tennessee with their veteran team. I really did. But that's, out the window. That ship has sailed today.
A team that wins no games in their conference tournament has never gone on to win the national championship. So you can put Tennessee in that boat. You can put Duke in that boat from last night. You can put Creighton in that boat from last night. They all lost their first conference tournament game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca.
I would be willing to bet the under 2.5 goals.
Fantasy sports today.
Especially in head-to-head formats in fantasy, I think I'm going to go with Juan Soto.
Game time decisions.
People don't like it. I don't really care. I cannot believe anybody is betting the Clippers at this number.
Betting above the
All
rim.
I've heard you say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live all access.
Nobody has been more profitable as a dog in the shopper's market.
All right, welcome back in-game live, and we are PrimeTime here on this Monday, March Madness. It's official, off and running here. Plenty of opportunities this week to get your fill of college basketball. Not just in March Madness, by the way. A couple of other tournaments that'll be going on, the NIT, the CBI. Couple of opportunities with some quality teams in them. Gotta love March Madness here. I know Mark Zeno does as he steps in here and joins us because there's a whole lot of ways to dive in, whether it be filling out brackets, individual games, futures market here. How do you usually approach this time of year, Mark, with March Madness? Is it futures, brackets, a combo? What do you do?
I mean, look, I think there can be some value found in the NIT. I spoke about this morning on another network. You can handicap the NIT very similar to the way you can handicap bowl season, right? Like a question of motivation. So let's take, for example, we've already seen teams opt out and tell you, look, we don't want to be there anymore, right? And there's this big debate on whether these guys should be playing or shouldn't be playing, which I think is a different discussion. But let's just take, for example, and this is a play that I'll probably have tomorrow, but Georgia is at home against Xavier. Now, does anybody know what Georgia's last postseason game was? I want to take a stab at it in college basketball, that is. We know when it was in football. But college basketball. Their last postseason game was in 2017. Their last postseason win was in 2015. You don't think that for why am I blanking on his name? Mike White, the coach. You don't think for Mike White, as rebuilding this program, this game matters to them? Like it matters to be in the NIT. It matters to go play a postseason game when they haven't sniffed the postseason in 7 years. So, of course, it matters to Georgia. They're at home in the NIT. They're playing a Xavier team that up until second week of February was one of those last four in, first four out kind of teams that aspirations on the NCAA tournament and just faded down the stretch. Now, I can't say for sure that Xavier doesn't want to be there, but it certainly feels like Georgia would be the more motivated team here. I thought I would have actually made Georgia a short dog in this one. Not surprised to see them a short favorite, but I'm taking Georgia tomorrow night. I mean, there's no reason not to. They'll actually get a crowd there. The students aren't on spring break or anything. This is the first postseason basketball game they've had in quite some time. So I expect them to come out motivated with a chance to want to play and win this game.
That's great because there's a lot of games that get overlooked, like in the NIT, and you get a couple days of like, I don't know, it's almost like a wave where it hit the ocean, it's rolling back out to sea. Look at the NBA today, Zin. How do you go and look at the NBA today after you get 3 days of just incredibly fun, meaningful college basketball? look at the card tonight.
You know what you do,
and
Dave?
go, I love this.
You do the exact opposite of every instinct you have when you flip the card and you go to the NBA. Oh, hey, look at that. Philadelphia, short favorite. No, go take Miami. My God, the Cavs are injured. There's no way they're going to win. We'll take Cleveland. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the way I looked at the whole board. I said, whatever my instinct was in the NBA, I'm just going to do the opposite. I went all George Costanza here and said, I'll do the opposite. And it seems to have worked out so far. Look, I am on the I'm on the Warriors later tonight. I got in early at 4.5. This thing's ballooned up to 6.5. And I don't think OG Anunoby really is the whole reason why. I think it's also because right now, the Knicks can't do that thing called score. They don't have a very good way of – they're averaging 96 points a game over their last 5. Like, if this was 1998, yeah, that'd be good. But as it stands in 2024, that sucks for offense.
You think? I'm still trying to figure out 2017. Was that pre Tom Crean there, or was that I think
it was year one of Tom Crean.
Yeah. What Anthony, was that the Anthony Edwards days, or no? That was too recent
early.
there.
Yeah, that was it was much earlier. Let me just double check when it was. Right. 2017 was it was the second to last year of the Mark Fox era. So Tom Crean was
gotcha.
He never made it, and the last time they made the tournament was in 2015, and they lost the first round game, in that one too. So I mean, they haven't won a postseason game, since the Mark Richt era of college football. So that's the last time they won a postseason basketball game. I think they're going to be super motivated tomorrow night, guys. I really do.
Yep, winnable games.
And I'd be honest with you, I'd rather bet an NIT game tomorrow night than the 2-16 seeds that I know very little about.
Brutal.
Right?
That's the other thing, right? You don't want to and there's people that will get involved in those games because they're on and they're 16 seeds and it's the tournament, but it's really not because it's a play-in game. But you're down in the ATL. Hawks tonight against the Lakers.
No,
like this is.
Here's what I told Joe earlier when we talked about this. I think the game is under. Like the Hawks are another team that's not scoring. They have no Trae Young. They are injured. They have no Sadiq Bey. They don't have any 3-point shooters anymore. Really, like other than Dejounte Murray going off, I don't see this team breaking 110 because they've only done it like 3 times since the beginning of March. So I mean,
not a bad way to look at it too. Yeah.
I mean, the other thing is, look, the Lakers are the most overvalued, overpriced team in the NBA.
Yes. Say it again for the people in the back.
Playing against them is often fun because they're laying numbers that they never should be. But with the Hawks being on a back-to-back and beating the Clippers last night, like, are they really going to, be able to get up again for this thing after St. Patrick's Day in LA? Kind of feels like, while they might not play any defense, those tired legs might not be all that good on the offensive end either. So I would only look to the under here. I can't play LA because, again, I think they're overpriced and overvalued. And I won't play the Hawks on the road given the way their offense is here. I just think that under 225 is where we're at.
Yeah, well, it's if it ain't broke, don't fix it here with some of these games here. We do have Miami, too, I think. This is now, if I'm not mistaken, they're like 28-6 to the under. They got a ridiculous run that they are rolling on here. And again, that's, this time, if you spend so much time focusing on college hoops, just some of these under trends after the break, Zin, have been, I mean, these are two different teams. Atlanta's different. Miami's different. They're all different here.
I'm guilty of trying to find the over spots because I'm waiting for the regression to come back, right? Like I'm just waiting for it to normalize.
Tell that to the Pacers.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've played the team like 3 times in the past 2 weeks, and it was wrong all 3 times, except for today when I gave out Cleveland.
I mean, it's 105, 103. Cleveland has none of their good defenders available to them. And it's 105, 103.
They don't have
Come on. It's under City here in the NBA. Now, my question is, does that change when the playoffs get here? We had 14 games left, a clear line in the sand from pre-All-Star game to post-All-Star game. The coach, I mean, we're hearing no whistles. They're swallowing the whistles. We're not getting extra free throw. Like, none of that is going on here. So is it unders from here on out?
Typically, Joe, like when we get to the playoffs, you're getting totals that are priced off regular season statistics. And what happens in the very beginning of the playoffs? Everybody starts playing defense. Hey, we got to start playing defense, right? It's a playoffs. We got to start playing defense. So I usually try to take advantage in first-round games of unders because the numbers are usually a little bit inflated based off of regular season performance. But now with this trend here, I think you may see folks, Dave, start to just hedge down a little bit just because we've seen so many of them, and you might not be able to take advantage.
The books are just
Two different
gathering
NBAs
information right now. They're going to dare you. They're going to dare you with like a 199.5.
Yeah,
that's what they're going to do.
You know it's coming.
They're going to put those numbers up there and go, come on up to the counter.
Yeah. Knicks Cavs in 7. And first
Come
one
on
to
in.
70 wins. Zeno, enjoy tonight. Good luck with those tickets. We'll be back here in Game Live Prime Time on the grid.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the movie that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like
This
is the guarantee Penn State to get in.
We need
Because
to
Penn
find
State's
a way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But
Right.
if we make them a third,
They get in.
third,
This is
they're
the Penn
always
State
going to
rule.
be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
I bought into Tennessee with their veteran team. I really did. But that's, out the window. That ship has sailed today.
A team that wins no games in their conference tournament has never gone on to win the national championship. So you can put Tennessee in that boat. You can put Duke in that boat from last night. You can put Creighton in that boat from last night. They all lost their first conference tournament game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca.
I would be willing to bet the under 2.5 goals.
Fantasy sports today.
Especially in head-to-head formats in fantasy, I think I'm going to go with Juan Soto.
Game time decisions.
People don't like it. I don't really care. I cannot believe anybody is betting the Clippers at this number.
Betting above the
All
rim.
I've heard you say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live all access.
Nobody has been more profitable as a dog than Shaka Smart Team.
Winning back-to-back road games. I don't care if they're playing Topeka High. I wouldn't give them any chance whatsoever.
In-game live. Prime time.
Back-to-back, just utterly stinker quarters.
In-game live. Overtime.
Honestly, as you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in-game live prime time here on this Monday now, March the 18th, as we all get ready for brackets and March Madness and NIT, and we've got some NBA games that nobody can score anymore in, and the NHL can't figure out how to schedule any games that makes any sense, as they've got 2 tonight. They'll have 28 tomorrow, and then they'll have 1 the following day. Very strange. But we also have at 6 o'clock, Dave, I think East Coast time, 6 in the morning in a couple of days, Major League Baseball will begin its 2024 season in Korea, I believe, with the Padres and the Dodgers here. And we just learned that the National League West gained themselves a pitcher here, Zin. Looks like Snell on his way to the Giants, so he can finish third behind the Dodgers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. That sounds like a quality move.
I mean, I'd hate to tell you that I said on this very program with you both that, you know, there was a certain team out there that made sense for them to sign into a 1-year, $35 million contract, which is, you know, close to what the San Francisco Giants just did. But, you know, that team sucks and they're annoying. And and clearly, of course, Dave, you're wearing the hat. Clearly, the Yankees don't have $62 million anywhere. I mean, they are so tight on budget. They have no money. They have this self-imposed salary cap, and they can't seem to get above that threshold where $62 million is something they can afford. I know they crunched the numbers really hard, and I know they really peeled back the books and said, can we find a couple more million here, maybe 62? I think their limit was just about 58, and 62 was way too high, and they just said, nah, we don't have $62 million at all.
I love when Zin goes on these rants, because he did this on Sunday night with Martin and me, and you were talking and you went on the rant. You did it here. I'll give you 100% credit. I put on the listening glasses when you said it back then. You said, give him 1 year, $35 million was your number, and the Yankees weren't listening. And I wore the Yankee stuff just for you. This is like when my cousin Vinny said, I wore this ridiculous suit for you. I got the whole thing on. I got the whole Yankee gear on.
The whole store's got the flu. You got that? The whole store got the flu.
The whole store got the flu. Well, the Yankees got the flu.
Well, I mean, the Yankees have been sick in the head for a while. I mean, look who's running this team at this point in time. Like, honestly, I saw a Major League Baseball power ranking today on, like, MLB's Twitter account. They had the Yankees 7th. I'm wondering who's running that power ranking. Like, have you looked? I mean, I guess we just look at the names. Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, and we assume they're going to be good. Oh, yeah, I guess they will. They might score 7 runs a game, but they also might give up 9 because there's not a single starter in that rotation that is even in number 2 on any other roster in Major League Baseball, let alone a number 1. So we're going to trot out Carlos Rodon, what's left of his arm. Nasty Nestor, who struck out 12 guys in a game once 3 years ago, and we're still riding out those coattails. And 2 other guys who barely have a ticket in Major League Baseball. But sure, yeah, the Yankees will be fine. They're the 7th best team in baseball. Why not? Bet on them to win the World Series. Hey, did you see what happened, Dave? When Garrett Cole went down for 2 months, the Yankees' odds went from plus 700 to plus 900. So let me give you a betting lesson. Before, when you bet $100 on the Yankees at 7-1 to win a World Series, you lose $100. Now that it's plus 900, when you bet $100 on the Yankees at plus 9-1, you lose $100 again.
And they also just lost LeMahieu now too with a bone bruise here. So yeah, that's another injury by the Yankees.
I will make a gentleman's bet with both of you that Aaron Judge hit the DL before May 1st. IL, sorry, we can't say DL anymore.
Really?
Because
IL.
Oh no.
I mean, no. Okay, let's. If you had to lay odds on either Judge or Stanton being on the IL before May 1st, yes or no, one of the 2 of them hits the IL. It has to be bonus money. One of the 2 of them has to be on the DL by May 1st.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean,
I agree.
Yes.
That's the best bet I'd make all baseball season.
That would be good. Actually,
he was literally their leadoff hitter. Like, he was supposed to be their leadoff hitter, and now he's got some sort of bone bruise, and he won't even start the season.
Analytics nerds will know we should put Judge first now because we can't bat him 3rd or 4th because he'll get more at bats if he bats first.
Yeah, he should lead him off. Yeah, and he'll steal a base and end up breaking his ankle or some stupidness. And it's just going to be, it's ridiculous.
No running. We can't have him running a base.
Put him in a glass case of breaking playoffs, right? And instead of breaking case of fire, break Aaron Judge in case we make the playoffs. There you go.
All right.
You see the pennant odds, though? Look at the pennant
they're
odds.
terrible.
The pennant
They're
odds
terrible.
are still not
They're terrible.
it's not being adjusted. This is nobody's looking to bet the Yankees as the bad news continues. I would be moving this thing. Let's go get some Yankee money. Listen to Zeno. Listen to Raineri. Listen.
Right though.
No.
There's a certain part of me that if you price the Yankees the same way you priced the Blue Jays or the Twins or the White Sox, right? Like in that 15 to 16 to 1 range. Okay, yeah, I'll throw a shekel down on them because maybe they can mash their way through bad pitching and everything else and get a wild card berth. But look at the way the Twins are priced. Look at the way if they were priced in that range, yeah, I'm going to plus 450 for the Yankees to win the AL pennant. Are you out of your mind?
I'd rather bet the Mets. But
seriously,
I would. I'd rather bet the Mets.
I'd rather bet the Mets because there's a lot of question marks in the National League across the board.
I agree. Yeah, I agree 100%.
Win total that has crept up that I should have bet early on, but I didn't have the guts to do it. Does anybody see the Detroit Tigers season win total getting near 80 already? Have you guys noticed this?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
I mean, like, this thing was at like 75 when I first looked at it. I said, okay, that's a bet I want to make. And then, you blink and you get caught up in college basketball. I'm like, oh, it's at 80. You get 5 games, a lot. That is now I would take them plus 360 to win that division. That's an appetizing bet to me because they may have the best pitcher in baseball this year in Tariq Skubal. He might be a Cy Young candidate when it's all said and done. A guy that nobody's talking about. They may have the best rotation in that division, and that's a team that I think is worth a little bit of a look to take a flyer on to win the AL Central.
I agree with you. I don't see a lot of people. That's one of the teams like in the buzz with a lot of baseball guys that I know but they've done this now for years. They've been ahead of the curve. They've been betting on Detroit to win this division for at least 3 or 4 seasons. I don't see the Cleveland love. The White Sox are completely done. Like trash, done. Worst team in the division. The Kansas City Royals are supposed to be improved. They brought a lot of vets in, right?
A lot of love.
One of the best players in baseball this year. If they can figure out some semblance of a 1-2 starter, I already played their over 73.5 win total this year.
Right.
So I mean, you got to understand, like. Just remember the old adage, every team's going to win 60 games, every team's going to lose 60 games, right? So what you're asking for here is the Royals essentially to find 14 wins somewhere. 14, 1 or 2 of these, you get a 5-run 9th inning and come back and steal a win. 1 or 2 of these, games that just goes quirky and bounces your way, or one of the games where you just win a game 2-1 that you're not supposed to win. You get a couple of those, and all of a sudden now you're down to like 8 to 9 to 10 wins, right? And it becomes a lot more manageable when you think about it in those terms.
Well, I mean, let's use that philosophy with the 56.5 wins for the Oakland Athletics. How many do they? It seems like a reasonable number here, Zin, right? No, it's not. I would only bet under. Only bet
really?
Under. Absolutely. They got 40 wins in them. I mean, they got 40 wins in them at tops.
Yeah. You ready? I'll use the old John Sterling phrase that he says to Susan Waldman on the broadcast all the time. Oh, Susan, that's baseball. So, like that, just like you're going to walk into 10 wins you're not supposed to just at a year.
Right.
Like, you're going to face a pitcher who has an awful
legit
start,
for them, though?
I mean,
they're not going to be 500. 60 wins is not happening for how many did they have last year, Dave?
60.
With the
I'll take under
60. I agree.
Okay, but
I don't see it.
Under 60, we're getting in dangerous. Like it's hard to lose 117 games, guys. Like
really? And I would think they probably. This is a team not even trying to win. That's in purgatory here. When are they moving to Vegas? 3 years, 4 years, 5 years?
You have to use a little bit of pedigree with Oakland from the standpoint of, their farm
They
system.
were 50-112 last year. 50-112. Are they 7 wins better?
Boy, when you say it like that,
That's my point. They were 50 and 112. Where did the 7 wins come from? And taking into your consideration on your point, though, you know, they lucked their way into 10 wins out of those 50. Like, so where's the improvement on a team that is purposely trying not to win games and give people any reason in Oakland to come back to the ballpark?
I'll just stay away and continue to yell at the Yankees. It makes my life much more stressful.
Under! Let's give him the under. I love. Look, Dave's still frozen. He has no idea what to make of the Oakland Athletics at 56.5. He's so excited. Zin, we certainly appreciate the time here, my man. You and I are the only sane Yankee fans that realize nothing good comes from expecting greatness from the Yankees. Expect mediocrity, and that is pretty much exactly what you will get here. And that's kind of what I'm hoping it happens, because I've already bet the under here in the win totals, because I can't deal with it. I'd be pleasantly wrong. I got no problem with that. Zin, be good, brother.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the movie that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like
This
is a guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need to
Penn
find
State's
a way to let them in, because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But
Right.
if we make them a third,
They get in.
This
is the Penn
always
State
going to be
rule.
better than the West half.
Yep.
That 1 year that Lightning in a Bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too, because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
I bought into Tennessee with their veteran team. I really did. But that's, out the window. That ship has sailed today.
A team that wins no games in their conference tournament has never gone on to win the national championship. So you can put Tennessee in that boat. You can put Duke in that boat from last night. You can put Creighton in that boat from last night. They all lost their first conference tournament game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca.
I would be willing to bet the under 2.5 goals.
Fantasy sports today.
Especially in head-to-head formats in fantasy, I think I'm going to go with Juan Soto.
Game time decisions.
People don't like it. I don't really care. I cannot believe anybody is betting the Clippers at this number.
Betting above the
All
rim.
I've heard you say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live all access.
Nobody has been more profitable as a dog than Shaka Smart Team.
Winning back-to-back road games. I don't care if they're playing Topeka High. I wouldn't give them any chance whatsoever.
In-game live. Prime time.
Back-to-back, just utterly stinker quarters.
In-game live. Overtime.
Honestly, as you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in-game live. We are prime time here on this Monday. March Madness is here. We do have a couple of NBA games, a couple of NHL games going on, a whole lot of college basketball all week long, and nobody, and I mean nobody knows it better than our good friend Cam Stewart joining us here as he takes over at the top of the hour as we're still licking our wounds from the players. Yep. But, hey, the good news is we're still a couple of weeks out from the Masters.
You're right, Joe. You should have been like a camera on me and my girlfriend on Sunday. Like, she can't handle the pressure anymore. Like, because she knows, like, she rides it harder than I do, right? Like, so we're there with Wyndham Clark, and we're sitting there, and, like, he's missing putts all day, and I'm just steaming. Like, I'm turning more red than I usually am. I'm like, you know what? I've been down this road before. I got a guy at 50-1, right, Joe and Dave? The guy, and that putt on 18, like, in the hole and out, I literally lost it. I'm like, the great news though is I had Scheffler top 5 for large, other things like that, and I made a choice with my girlfriend, and she's very smart. She goes, "We have to hedge on one guy. I'm going to take Scheffler, but out of Harmon and Schauffele, I go, we're never betting Xander Schauffele. I don't care if he's got a 3-shot lead." And she goes, "Amen. He will choke." She knows, like, I'm like, and then I'm like, Brian, the little lefty that could. You know, Carver had him at 150-1 pre-tournament when he like opened up. He got bet down to like 80. I'm like, oh my God. So like we had everybody but there, but that's the beauty. If it's tight, you can actually do the hedge, guys. So I'm still upset. Would have been probably about $7,000 if Wyndham Clark won. That's a big chunk of change. Like it's not like a little, but that's golf betting, Dave. I tell you, we move forward tonight. Yeah, I don't know. This Laker, what do we got here? This Knicks game tonight I was looking at. A total to me seems a little bit light. I emailed Pat in the morning. It was 211 and a half. I saw on one side it was 211. I'm there. I think I know there's attention to detail and defense with the Knicks and the Warriors here, and they're not playing these monster track meet games, but I think that total's too low. I'm going to take the dog in the Knicks plus 6.5 too, guys. They're a team that's grinding right now, and you know, maybe it's a sucker bet, and I'm always like, when I see plus, my eyes get excited like a dog on a steak. So I'll take a shot with the Knicks tonight. In hockey, this is a sentence that usually doesn't end well. I'm betting the Buffalo Sabres tonight. What? I'm betting the Buffalo Sabres tonight. Yes, I am. Plus 106 it was, down to plus 102. Dave, this team is an enigma. They could beat the best teams in the league. They could lose to the worst teams in the league. The Kraken have been playing poorly. That game against Nashville, I watched that game. It was actually disgusting. Buffalo, weird team. You know, they beat the Islanders. They can't seem to string it together, but I like Buffalo on the road in this spot tonight. I think they have a better goaltender. Luukkonen's playing pretty good right now. They're going to get it together. You're going to give me this team as a dog, and I'm going to be honest with you, Seattle's horrible on home ice. They're actually a better road team. If you look at their record, they do a lot more damage on the road, and you'd say the Pacific Northwest would be a huge home field advantage like it is for my Seahawks back in the day, but not with the Kraken. Like I like taking them more as bigger dogs on the road. Dave, we're riding with the Buffalo Sabres. Hope for not overtime. I'm gonna lose it. Dave Snuggerud. Yep, let's go, Sabres. Let's get it done. Doug Bodger style. Ready to rock.
Kraken have lost 4 in a row. That's a perfect spot to take the Sabres.
Thank you.
Cam, are the Sabres going to make the playoffs? Can they actually do this, Cam?
They can. They can, Dave. And a lot of these teams in front of them, like Detroit is choking hard. Like I tell you about Toronto choking, the Detroit Red Wings are a train wreck. Like I'm watching this team play going, what the hell happened to these guys? They were the best bet in hockey a while ago. Now they can't get out, they can't get out of their own way. They look bad. I'm watching them defensively. The goaltending's been bad now with Lyon, who they picked up. Remember from Florida? The guy was standing on his head. He's been horrible. You got James Reimer there. That guy was a Leafs goalie like a decade ago. He reeked back then. He reeks now. He sucks. So let me tell you something. This team is just absolutely brutal. The Sabres can. The thing about them is they're young, but they still have some guys on that team. They got to put it together. That's the one thing about the Sabres. You guys got to put a winning streak together. You can't just win one, lose one, win one, lose one. And you have to win games in regulation now. Yep. That's the key in the National Hockey League. Me and Gabe talked about it. Foster knows. Everybody knows. They should go to the 3-point system like they do in soccer. They're not going to go do it because they like this at the end of the year. They like teams to stay around, and the most brutal of teams can still make the playoffs. I'm gonna bet yes. Like, you know what I mean, Joe? Well, let's find the number. We'll get if we get a price on it. I haven't done it yet. I was doing more Masters futures and NCAA futures today and just looking at that stuff. But I think the Buffalo Sabres can make the playoffs. I really do.
Well, does Ovechkin and Washington get one final crack? Because they're close too, man. Can they put it together? Hey, listen, they've won some games here last week. I have no idea what they're doing and how they're winning them. But Ovechkin in the playoffs is probably extremely entertaining at the very least.
Me and my girlfriend, we had a lot of family stuff to do this week, and I put in my bets and went to bed. When I put my bets in and go to bed, I usually wake up happy. I looked, I went, she goes, what's wrong? I go, I got problems. Loss. Like I had Edmonton, wrong, Vancouver, like everything I touched. Like, I got I'm telling you, how the hell did these guys beat Ed? Who scored a goal with 1 second? Like Colorado versus Edmonton? I almost puked.
Yep.
I'm looking at like 1 second. Oh my God, help me. Like I'm talking, it was bad beat weekend. So Joe, I will tell the listeners now, I'm colder than an Arctic glacier right now. But we get back on the horse, and thank God for golf, because all the money I lose betting other sports, I make back in golf matchups and stuff, and almost hit a winner at 50-1 this week. So let's roll. Let's get it done. And I hope the Sabres just show up tonight, because I actually think they're a better team than the Kraken. But great question, Joe.
I agree.
And as for Washington, I don't know how this team's doing it with smoke and mirrors, but they're winning games. Like they're not a good hockey team. Like I watched them play and go, these guys aren't good. Their goaltending's getting better. And know what the problem is with teams?
They're old.
Don't give them a power play. Just don't give Washington a power play. It's like Tampa Bay. Be disciplined. They're not a great team. They'll murder you on the power play. And I'm watching these idiots win going, you're not even good. Like you're not a good hockey team. But you get power plays and Ovechkin buries goals. So look, I'm getting red just thinking about it.
I know you're getting red. Take a deep breath.
I know. Sorry. I don't have a heart attack on air. Like I'm just.
I didn't even want to bring up.
Yeah.
What I wanted to bring up with you was the Pac-12 basketball team in this tournament. All right. Washington State. They're playing Drake.
I know.
Colorado is in the play-in game. Like, what are we doing with the Pac-12 teams in the tournament? I mean, Joe's trying to make a case. Look at this. Unbelievable. I love this bracket. I love looking at this. I
love it all.
But you see these teams. Cam, is the Pac-12, like, can we blanketly say we're fading them, or are we picking and choosing which teams? Because Joe was telling me he's looking to play on the majority of the Pac-12 teams, and I'm looking at it going, I don't see it.
I do, Dave. I'm going to tell you something.
I'm fading the Mountain West is what I'm doing.
You know what, Joe? I am too.
That's right.
I needed Boise State that night. I'm like, these guys aren't like, what are you doing? Like, no. Like New Mexico might be able to go on a little run, Dave, but I remember all these analysts. It's the same crap every year. The Pac-12 sucks. Meanwhile, here we go. The Oregon State Beavers went on a run that year. Every single team there won a game early, and some of them went deep seeds too. I'm not getting in front of it.
True.
I'm betting the Pac-12. I think if Colorado wins their play-in game, they'll win 2 games, maybe 3. That's the way things happen. One team in the play-in game always surprises. So you know what? I'm down with that program. It was a very tight Pac-12 championship. They were there. They let that game slide late. I'm with Joe. Anytime somebody says this conference sucks, I'm like, no, it doesn't. Have you seen Arizona's path? Like, I know they don't win road games, but their path is real sweet. Like Arizona's kind of like, I'm looking at them going, this is a very interesting situation. They beat Long Beach. They're way better than Dayton or Nevada, like already. Clemson, New Mexico, you think they're scared of those teams? The Lobos play defense, but Clemson, they reach.
Baylor.
They're what?
Baylor's
Oh, yeah,
the
sorry,
problem.
Baylor. You're right. Baylor's the problem.
That's the
What is
problem.
it? Crest versus Colgate? I'll take Crest.
Yes.
That's what it is.
I like
better
Crest too, yes.
I'm such a
That's
idiot. My jokes
exactly
are so weak. Anyway, you're right, Dave.
Exactly correct.
Baylor is awesome. And I told my girlfriend, I go, who we taking in the tournament? She's great. Like, she knows nothing about college basketball. Golf and tennis are our game. She goes, they're called the Bears? You're the Bear. Baylor Bears.
Oh,
I'm like, sounds good.
There
honey.
you go.
Let's bet it. You know what? Like my teacher in high school. Where would I rather vacation in the NFL? Hits a 12-banger, wins 27 grand. I'm like, oh, okay. That's the way I'm going to cap now.
Right.
And I got golfers putting balls in holes and aerodynamically it can't come out of the hole. But
how did that come out?
Honestly,
how did that
I actually want to find out the guy who puts the flags in. I used to do that job. I worked at a golf course in a range truck. If that thing's off a millimeter on the pin, because it's basically it's like a hole in a thing, and you punch it in and you punch it out. If this guy like did it like not perfectly, I'm gonna find out where that idiot lives. And this one's from Wyndham Clark, you jerk. Like, I just, honest to God, I can't handle this. Like, something's never changed, Joe, with Schauffele, too. Like, like, this guy, I don't care.
Yet,
it's just,
he's the favorite this week at the Valspar. Who in their right mind is taking 7-1?
Joe, I am fading him in every matchup I can find. If he beats me, he beats me. I think there's one with Harmon. I've already bet Brian Harmon at 25-1. I love Brian Harmon. He is a bulldog, literally and figuratively. Went to Georgia. He doesn't quit. He gets no respect. I told my girlfriend, fairways and greens. And Harmon, he can hit putts. Perfect type of plays for him. The snake pit, Dave, the Valspar, Joe will tell you, this tournament, man, it could be an absolute train wreck. Like, guys can take 16s on holes. And like it gets really stupid in the snake pit. If there's any type of weather, there's going to be carnage this week. It is actually one of the hardest tournaments. I want a guy like Brian Harmon who can just plot it around.
I agree.
See, this is good because Cam would be the guy that would come up in the book this weekend and say, hey, can you put the Valspar on one of the screens? And we'd be like, no, man, listen, we're watching basketball. We got basketball wall to wall in here this weekend, but this is good. So hopefully you'll hit us with something from the Valspar that we could actually, sink our teeth into. Because
damn right, Dave. Joe knows. I'm watching college basketball, but that's why I like when I go to the book, I go to the old horse racing section with the old guys there and the little TVs. I put my golf on, I put the horse racing on, and I got the basketball on. I got the row. Let's have a couple drinks and party. That's the way I roll. All sports on TV.
So true.
Can't wait for the tournament. It's going to be great. And I'm with you, Joe. I'm actually going to ride the Pac-12 hard. I think they can win some games. I know.
Are
Dave,
you going to look at the NIT? We were talking about the NIT earlier. It's a great betting opportunity.
It really
that
is.
I think people need to look at.
Here's the angle of the NIT, and I think you guys know here where it says it's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Sometimes it is. Sometimes I'll give you bad picks. But I'll tell you this. These home teams that don't want to be there, I'm so down with the dogs in this tournament. There's going to be 14-point dogs that go to sleep, lose outright. It's been going on for years. I was talking to a guy at the bar on Saturday. I stopped in to get my NCAA, just talk to him about NCAA. He's actually a South Carolina Gamecock. He told me the Gamecock ladies, I don't care what number it is, lay it. Nobody's beaten them in the women's tournament. I'm listening. So, that's basically, I've already bet the women's tournament. I have futures on them, and I got UConn at 12-1 earlier in the year. So those are the futures I have. And, my girlfriend told me to take Baylor, so I listened to her.
I love it. You got to go with the Bears. The Bears all around. The Bears and get the Chicago Bears win total over. You might
Dave,
as
how
well,
about your
as long as you go
Steelers? They got 2 quarterbacks for nothing. What a deal. Nothing.
I don't know what to make of.
That's called robbery. They walked into a bank with a balaclava and a gun, and they're like, anything you want,
crushed
sir.
It.
And no cameras. Cameras weren't working that day. Stealing.
Cam Stewart coming up at the top. More stealing coming up here in Game Black Prime Time.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the people that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
In the Big Ten, it's the same thing. No offense to you guys. This feels like the Penn State rule. This feels like
It is.
This is a guaranteed Penn State to get in.
We need
Because
to
Penn
find a
State's
way to let them in because they can't beat Michigan. They can't beat Ohio State. But
Right.
if we make them a third,
They get in.
Third,
This is
they're
the Penn
always
State
going to
rule.
be better than the West half.
Yep.
And that 1 year that lightning in a bottle catches on the West half, we'll let them in too because they'll bring people.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
I bought into Tennessee with their veteran team. I really did. But that's, out the window. That ship has sailed today.
A team that wins no games in their conference tournament has never gone on to win the national championship. So you can put Tennessee in that boat. You can put Duke in that boat from last night. You can put Creighton in that boat from last night. They all lost their first conference tournament game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca.
I would be willing to bet the under 2.5 goals.
Fantasy sports today.
Especially in head-to-head formats in fantasy, I think I'm going to go with Juan Soto.
Game time decisions.
People don't like it. I don't really care. I cannot believe anybody is betting the Clippers at this number.
Betting above the
All
rim.
I've heard you say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live all access.
Nobody has been more profitable as a dog than Shaka Smart Team.
Winning back-to-back road games. I don't care if they're playing Topeka High. I wouldn't give them any chance whatsoever.
In-game live. Prime time.
Back-to-back, just utterly stinker quarters.
In-game live. Overtime.
Honestly, as you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in as we close out this edition of In-Game Live Prime Time Sports Rage. Cam Stewart coming up next here. They'll have you the rest of the way. We certainly appreciate you hanging out with us here. Joe Raineri alongside Dave Sharapan. And Dave, we asked Cam, what do you think about the Capitals making the playoffs here? They're battling like Buffalo. And they've already got a 3-0 lead here over Calgary. Like, here we go again with this Capitals team. Unbelievable. You know what it is? You get hot at the right time in the NHL, Dave, and nothing else matters, I guess, right? Just got to be in it to win it.
Sometimes some of these trips, these West Coast trips for the East Coast teams, they get this momentum, and this Western Canada swing is not supposed to bring a team together that's almost out of the playoffs. But it's doing that exact thing for the Capitals.
Yep.
Maybe the Penguins could use that. The Penguins,
yes,
it's done. The Penguins aren't making the playoffs. Anybody that needs to hear that, it's nighttime in Pittsburgh behind me. I'm a Penguin fan, but I'm coming to the realization that teams like the Capitals, teams like the Sabres, are going to have a better chance of making the playoffs from the outside in because teams like Detroit are coming back to the pack.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah, it's happening. It is happening.
Yep.
Just like these totals are going under in the basketball. The Heat and Sixers working out pretty well. Atlanta and the Lakers tonight, another under, Joe. Got to be an under. Got to be the play.
And who are the Kings to be laying 12 points against
I don't know.
anybody? Against anybody. I don't care.
Memphis.
It could be Sisters of the Poor. You ain't laying 12. You ain't lighting no beam here, Sacramento. Give me the points. Give me the 12.
Taking 12? You're taking 12
I'm taking
with that
12.
team?
I do not trust the Kings as far as we can throw. There's nothing trustworthy about this team this year. Nothing. Memphis getting it done. Lakers are going to shock the world, lose by 30 tonight. Sports Rage, Cam Stewart coming up here, Dave. We'll talk to you again during the week. Best of luck. Enjoy the night.